minority in Parliament is continuing its onslaught on the Electoral Commission and its proposed constitutional instrument, which makes the Ghana card the sole identity document to register as a voter. For hours yesterday, EC Chairperson and NIA Executive Secretary briefed MPs on this controversial matter, but the NDC do not seem satisfied with the answers provided. Minority Leader Dr. Ato Folson says the EC must listen to wise counsel and stop its tracks.
Ladies and gentlemen, the National Identification Authority, which is responsible for the issuance of Ghana card, has admitted publicly that there is a backlog of millions of Ghanaians who are yet to be issued with Ghana card. The NIA has admitted that about 3.5 million cards have been locked up in a bonded warehouse due to indebtedness owned by the NIA to its private partner. And the indebtedness is 1.5 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent of 117 million US dollars. Again, speaking on Newsfire on Tuesday, on Saturday, 25th of February 2023, the Executive Director of the NIA, Professor Kenneth Ajeman Atefa, said, and I quote, "Since about August of last year, we have experienced financial constraints in the system, and it created a situation where even though we have 3.5 million stock of cards in a bonded warehouse, we are unable to access the cards because of the financial difficulty," unquote. He proceeded by saying that currently about 2.5 million cards are yet to be printed. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the words of the National Identification Authority and not the minority. It is also a fact that the registration process for the Ghana card has been characterized by several difficulties, including logistical constraints. The National Identification Authority has further admitted that the issuance of Ghana card is a continuing process and therefore cannot be completed at any point in time. Therefore, making the Ghana card the sole requirement for voter registration cannot be accepted, as it would deny millions of Ghanaians their right to register and vote.
According to Dr. Ato Folson, recent happenings show that the Electoral Commission may be plotting to rig the next elections for the NPP. He says a recent national security strategy document should guide the EC to tarry slowly before it plunges the country into violence.
As noted, the national security strategy, one of the main risks, as noted by the national security strategy, that one of the main risks of Ghana's peace and security is mistrust in the electoral processes. The suspicion of collusion by the ruling party and the Electoral Commission to rig the election for the ruling party continues to drive the situation towards dispute and potential violence. The above admonition is coming from the national security in the light of the clear and present danger of the Electoral Commission continues to pose to the peace and stability of Ghana through its actions, such that this proposed CI needs to be stopped.
Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us on phone with details. Kweku, the minority has been announcing some non-negotiables. Run us through that.
So they first say that the Electoral Commission must bring back the guarantor system, where persons who are already registered as voters can any polling station and guarantee that a person is a citizen or is of age for them to register. They are also saying that usage of the Ghana card as a sole identity document is not something that will countenance. And then finally, the third non-negotiable is for the EC to move the registration centers to the polling station. We know that per this CI, the limited registration exercise that will be conducted at the district offices of the Electoral Commission. The minority says there are large districts where it will be difficult for people to leave certain villages and local areas and go to these district offices. For this reason, the Electoral Commission must decentralize the process. So these are the three non-negotiables that the minority say, if it is not inculcated, if it is not put in the new CI, they will not support this laying and eventual party.
Now, what's the next line of action if the EC does not heed to their call and proceed to lay the CI? Did they tell you?
Yeah, the NDC have been announcing, the minority caucus, a number of things that they'll be doing. For instance, they're announcing that they're going to host a public forum together with its father party, the NDC, to make a lot of noise about this. We know that following yesterday's committee of the whole meeting, there will be a report that will be put before Parliament to be debated, will be voted on. It is not clear-cut if constitutionally Parliament can seek to stop this constitutional body from seeking to lay its constitutional instruments in Parliament. There are those, especially on the majority, who have contended that the EC, being an independent body, can proceed and do so. The Speaker of Parliament has said that if some of these issues are not clearly ironed out and EC himself is not built properly, he will not allow the CI to be laid. There are those who have said that if the Speaker of Parliament continues with that position and someone goes to the Supreme Court, that position will be struck out as unconstitutional. So that will be the next step. But we know that from next week, already majority side are saying that there is no time. They want the CI to be laid as soon as possible.
Kwekwa Asante is our parliamentary affairs correspondent. Definitely will bring you more from Parliament in our subsequent bulletins. Now, price of liquefied petroleum gas LPG is going up by 10% today. That's according to the LPG Marketers Association. The new price adjustment is influenced by the world market price and the exchange rate. Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Kumi, wants government to add LPG to the oil for gold deal to force prices down. Gabriel Kumi joins us live on Zoom with more. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Kumi. What can we do about the situation? I mean, should we reduce the taxes on these commodities or scrap it all?
Thank you very much, my sister. I think three things must be looked at immediately. One is the taxes that you just spoke about. I mean, we have been calling on government to remove taxes from LPG for the past 5 years. And we think this is the best time for government to act on that direction. The second thing that government must do immediately is also to add LPG to the gold for oil or oil for gold deal that we are having currently. You know, because of that deal, prices of diesel and petrol are seeing some decline. But unfortunately, LPG has not been added to the deal. And the world price of finished LPG keep rising. Unfortunately, our CD to dollar ratio has also seen some weakening. So we believe if government tackle these issues immediately to help drive down the price of LPG quite significantly.
Let me ask you this. There's a proposal that the dollar auction should be directed to the LPG industry. Now that there is gold for oil, what do you think about this proposal?
I mean, that should also be added. You know, LPG is a product that government must target. Government has already targeted LPG consumption to go up by about 25% from about 25% to 50% by the year 2030. The penetration rate. That means government attaches special importance to LPG. But you know, LPG is a product with an elastic demand. When you're dealing with such a product, the only way you can engender growth, the only way you can increase consumption is to take measures to bring the price of the product down so you can attract a lot more people into the consumption net. So government objective could be achieved. Currently, for the past window, we've been buying LPG at about 15 cedis per kilo. That translates to about 220 Ghana cedis for your average 14.5 kg cylinder. Now, with this increment of 10%, if we are lucky, competition can drive this 10% down to about 7%. If we are even to have 7%, that will mean we are going to move from 15 cedis to about 16 cedis per kilo. And that will translate into your average cylinder costing you about 270 cedis for you to fill. And we believe this is too high for the ordinary Ghanaians to be able to buy. So government must really put some concentration on LPG at this stage and to ensure that the price of the product comes down. So we can all help achieve the noble objective government set for itself about 2-3 years ago.
Gabriel Kume is Vice President of LPG Marketers Association. I'm grateful for your time this afternoon. A resident of Accra New Town is calling for an over 50-year-old quarry site situated in the residential area to be closed down as it poses health risk. David Dankwa believes the amount of dust the quarry generates is a big health and safety risk for the community of Accra New Town. He says the quarry is not adhering to the necessary safety measures and has started a petition to gather support from other residents in the area. Mapita Sibidi has more.
Close them down. Close down the quarry.
Furious David Dankwa, a resident of Accra New Town, calling for the closure of a quarry site situated behind his home. For him, the dust from the site is causing him discomfort. David believes that the quarry dust contains hazardous particles that can cause respiratory problems and other health issues.
The quarry dust, which operates right behind my peripheral wall here, it operates 7 days a week and pollutes the whole area. That has gone on forever.
The quarry has been in operation for nearly half a century.
There's a school just across from here with 500 children who have to come in and inhale quarry dust every day. There's also a very active Roman Catholic church with over 2,000 parishioners. So these unsuspecting parishioners come in 5-7 times a week to pray to dear Jesus. And what they don't really realize is they leave here with more ailments in their bodies. You can't open a window. Nobody in the neighborhood can open a window in their house.
However, some residents disagree with David's claims.
If they said that they are shutting down the quarry for the reason that it is creating dust to this place, I will say no.
Robert Addo has been living in the area for years. He says the quarry in times past used to pollute the air and disturb the neighborhood. The Environmental Protection Agency visited the site after residents complained, and since then, the quarry has been following all the right rules and regulations. Rather, he says, the quarry is a source of livelihood for many.
Some years back, we don't have this situation. It's very dusty. But we led a crusade and brought in the environmentalists and the radio stations. Now the environmental protection people step in and they give them directions as to what to do. You see, and since it was done, we don't see all those things. You can attest to it. You are standing at this place. They are working. What dust is on you? But when one car passes on this road, the dust it throws out is not what you are saying. Look at the atmosphere. I'm a resident. Now I'm the oldest resident in this area. What dust is going out? When you get to where quarries are, you see real dust. Our road is now the menace. It is our road that is killing us, not this very quarry.
Despite that, David says he has filed many complaints with the EPA and the local assembly to review the activities of the quarry and is yet to receive any response. For Joy News, Mapito Sibidi.
All efforts to get a response from the EPA environmental health officers at the Ayawasa Central Municipal Assembly have been unsuccessful. The Land Commission says it has interdicted 10 of its employees who have been busted by the National Intelligence Bureau for stealing more than 100 million cedis. The employees are alleged to be part of a 21-member gang which conspired to manipulate the software of the Commission, enabling it to generate fake stamp duties and steal money the Commission was to pay to the Ghana Revenue Authority. Deputy Executive Secretary Jones Oforibuedi says the software has been immediately secured to prevent further theft. He's been speaking at a news conference.
We are still investigating. I know the matter is before the NIB and they are also investigating, so we cannot put a figure to how much is involved because it is still evolving. The software, I must say that we developed that software in-house. The Enterprise Land Information System was developed in-house, and we've used it, in our processes, and it's been quite effective. Now, what we've done after we discovered this is to move that platform to a firm to move the management of the platform to a firm to manage it for us. So that would help us to safeguard, some of these more practices. But that is in the interim. In the long term, what we intend to do as part of the land reform project that we're doing at the Lands Commission is to change the entire software. Currently, we're operating on an open source software platform, but we want to move it to a proprietary software platform when we start the land reform project. So that is in the long term. But in the interim, we've moved the platform to a firm who is managing it for us now. So it's not the in-house team that is managing it anymore.
Do you think God isn't paying attention to you? Why not pray on the Aisha Mountains, where God can be heard most clearly? You may have been praying to God to do something new in your life, but it seems there is a lot of interference between you and God. However, there's a spot in Ghana where some Christians have said that God's hearing is the clearest. On the Ghana Man series, Kojo Youngson leads you on a trip through the picturesque Aisha Mountains in the Ashanti region, where you can trust that your prayers will be heard.
Nestled in the Mampong Ranges near Nsuta, the Aisha Mountains are a magnet for prayerful Christians and church groups looking for a quiet spot for spiritual reflection and communion with God. The almost 2-hour drive from Kumasi towards Nsuta takes us through a rather scenic route of majestic mountains and beautiful overhanging shrubbery. It bears no resemblance to any other place in Ghana. Really quite breathtaking. We have a 70% Christian population. And this place, Aisha Mountains, is fabled for its spiritual significance. It's worth it to do the hike up this beautiful trail to the top of the mountain to see where it appears God's hearing is the clearest. Let's go. How long does it take you to get to the top?
Okay, if I'm going there with nothing there, I can use maybe 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes. But when I'm going there with load, maybe 35 minutes to 45 minutes. Then maybe some heavy load, take me maybe 15 minutes.
So somebody like me, how long will it take me? Since I've never done it before.
How I see it, maybe can use maybe 1 hour.
What?
1 hour.
You hear all sorts of stories about this place. People trying and failing to make it to the summit. But I must say, it doesn't look so hard. If even little Bisa can do it, carrying luggage, then for big men like us, it'll be a walk in the park. Famous last words.
Oh, you have started it, if you are going to use Travis, hey. Easy. But I think 1 hour.
I don't think it's possible to describe the marrow-deep fatigue I was feeling at this point. It felt as if every cell in my body had been drained of its vitality. I had emptied my tank, my reserves, and was running on fumes. Seriously, I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't feel my arms. I couldn't feel my eyes, my waist, my teeth. I was struggling to find physical proof that I still existed. At a point, I genuinely felt I was about to die. And we weren't even halfway there. Hey! I can tell you without a doubt, since I was born, this is the most tired my body has ever been. So what's the payoff at the end of that grueling climb to the top of Aisha Mountain? What do you get when you get here? Well, for the Christians who make this a pilgrimage, let me tell you, they feel closer to God. Look at this. This is the actual prayer camp. Camp 3, the Methodist prayer. And let me tell you, we have learned since we got here that on 31st of December, this entire expanse was full. And you can believe it because they've got these speakers at all the vantage points so that wherever you're standing to pray, you will be heard. Not just by your fellow man, but by God himself. You can imagine that if you live in a city anywhere, it can get very loud. You can feel like there is a lot of interference between your voice and God's ears. But up here, there's nothing between you and your Maker. And the Christians who come here firmly believe that this is the clearest connection they can have with the God who made them. The view from here, not bad at all. I recommend you take your family one weekend, bring them over, and show them what God made.
Well, Right Reverend Professor Joseph Obrey-Abuamante, moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana and also Chancellor of the Presbyterian University Ghana, says as much as being solitary, going to solitary places such as Aisha Mountain is good in believers' life, the spiritual posturing and mind of the individual is more critical to getting one's prayers answered. He spoke on Newsdesk.
I mean, I could see that it is possible that Aisha has that special significance, that God intentionally perhaps met a particular minister of God there and told him that he's going to use that place for a special purpose. And God is doing that. I have had testimonies of people who have been there and how God has specifically answered their prayers. And we do have several of our ministers. In fact, we do have on our church calendar a day that people go to our mountain to pray. And people come back, they have testimonies and so on. But again, let me repeat, that does not mean that that's the only place that God would answer prayers. We also know that God answers prayers in every part of the world, as you initially said, that God is omnipotent, omnipresent. But God can choose any place to abide there in a special way. And it's possible that God has chosen Aisha in that direction. Having said that, though, every prayer, every spirituality, every Christian must appreciate the fact that spirituality goes in two dimensions, from the dimension of God and from the dimension of the individual. You can go to Aisha, and if you are not properly disposed spiritually, you will not get anything. You will come back the same. Nothing will happen. Okay. It all depends on how you position yourself spiritually. And you can go to Jerusalem, or you can go to Mecca, you can go to any place. If spirituality is such that if you don't position yourself well, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. And I think that is a caution for all of us, so that we don't think that whether it is Mount Sinai or it is Aisha or wherever, just because you go there, something will happen. No, it all depends on how we position ourselves spiritually.
Okay. Meanwhile, ahead of the 6th March commemoration, Joy News' Mama Vioso Aboja has been accessing states' preparedness in the Volta region, which is set to host this year's National Independence Day event. There's more in the following report.
Here we are now at the Volta Youth Resource Center. It's the venue for the 66th Independence Day anniversary, and it's going to be held obviously in the Volta region, and this is where it's going to happen. It's a 5,000 seating capacity resource center, and we understand that this is the second phase of it and already is 90% complete. We're counting down to 6th of March when we know that it will be 100% complete, at least the second phase. The third phase will be some added facilities. We're talking about swimming pool, tennis court, we're talking about gym, ICT center, and a whole lot more serving the Volta region located at Adaklu.
Okay. From around 2017, 2018, the government started the construction of youth resource centers in the 10 old regions of Ghana, and ours was located at that place, and the work started. But we had problems with the soil. The soil in that area is mostly clay, and so we had difficulties. So it delayed the project a bit. And government also decided that, okay, last year they were going to complete 5, and this year they'll complete the rest 5. And we are supposed to be among the second batch. But when the president gave us the opportunity to host the 66th independence anniversary, we felt that was the best option that we had to host it. So quickly, the Minister of Youth and Sports and National Youth Authority were instructed by the president to make sure that the center was completed. So we started not many weeks ago, and we are happy about the pace of work. We'll still have some work to do. Next week will be very busy, and the preparations are going on. The committees are working very hard, and we're hopeful that we'll put up a great show come 6th of March.
Back here in Accra, donations in support of the classroom project continue to pour in for the completion of work at the Jamrabriman and Tolon site. Some 700 school children are set to benefit from 2 school blocks when completed. Among donors who have supported so far includes the following, and you have DBS roofing sheets. They donated 20,000. Israeli Embassy donated $6,000. Gapoha donated 20,000 cedis. Chartered Institute of Accountants donated 10,000 cedis. Plant City Extension Project has donated 3,000 cedis. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia has donated 20,000 cedis, and Dr. Gideon Boako, also in the Vice President's office, donated 5,000 cedis. Anonymous person, Anonymous A donated 5,000, Anonymous B 2,000, and the Momo donations stand at 20,000 as we speak. Well, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, sent his spokesperson, Gideon Bako, to redeem his pledge first made on Asempa FM Ecosystem program Tuesday. And the project lead, Mfati Amwa, received the cash 20,000 from the Vice President and a check of 5,000 from Gideon Bako. She, together with the host of Ecosystem program, OB, thanks the Vice President and a spokesperson for their kind gesture towards the classroom project. They prayed that many more will emulate the latest gesture in support of developmental projects of such nature anytime they can. Dr. Bako has been sharing what motivated the donation.
I must say that working with the Vice President very closely, I've come to know him as somebody who respects human life and is very much concerned about the well-being of individuals, especially those who are in a destitute situation. And so anytime he hears that an institution or individual is in trouble, it is his wish that he goes to the aid. And I think this gesture that he's doing is just unto God, but also for the young people who may have the opportunity to sit in this block to go to school. Yeah, I equally, just like the Vice President, have a humble beginning. I've gone through a lot in life. My life has been challenged in diverse ways, and I have benefited from the philanthropy of so many people. And so I graciously say all the time that I am just a walking example of God's favor and the benevolence of people. And for that matter, anytime I get the opportunity to help people, I don't second guess on it. In as much as I have life and breath, I think I can contribute meaningfully to somebody's life, and I try to do so at all material time. That is why when I heard the project, I was touched.
Let's head to Nigeria, where the ruling party candidate Bola Tinubu has been declared the winner of the country's presidential elections. The 70-year-old veteran politician got 37% of the vote. Official results shows his main rival Atiku Abubakar polled 29% and Labour's Peter Obi 25%. Their parties had earlier dismissed the poll as a sham and demanded a rerun. Mr. Tinubu based his campaign on his record of rebuilding the bigger city, Lagos, when he was governor. He was nevertheless defeated in the city by Mr. Obi, a relative newcomer, who mobilized the support of many young people, especially in urban areas, shaking up the country's two-party system. Mr. Tinubu won most other states in his home region of the Southwest, where he is known as political godfather, who helps put others into office. Here is INEC declaring him winner after the collation.
That Tinubu Bola Ahmed of the APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Thank you.
Tinubu was full of hope and optimism in his acceptance speech. Let's hear him.
To all of you, I say it's not the night to address the party members and leadership. But you can't do acceptance speech and just leave. To me, I will do more than that. I first start by saying thank you to our national leadership, the national chairman, Senator Abdullahi. Thank you, you from Senate, governorship, and made history of navigating a very large political party to make a precedent. It's not a small letter in history. It's a big letter.
Let's share with you details of the collated results, and we'll be checking that right away on your screens. Now, if you look at Tinubu, Bola Tinubu, he had 8,794,726, making 36.61%. Then you look at Atiku Abubakar, who had 6,984,520, which sums up to 29.07%. Peter Obi came up with 6,101,533, a representation of 25.4%, and Rabiu had 1,496,687, representing 6.23%, and others had 648,474. That's a representation of 2.7% in the presidential elections. We're back here in the studio. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll bring you the very latest coming from the world of business.
Hello, good afternoon. Warm welcome to the business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kojobaka. The Bank of Ghana is taking steps to provide importers of petroleum products with the required dollars to support the operations. The central bank, to this end, has sold $30 million to the bulk oil importers to finance import of petroleum products for the next 2 weeks. But how will this impact prices at the pumps? George Yaffe has more.
Adequate supply of dollars to the bulk oil importers have always played a very important role in impacting on prices of petroleum products. Limited supply had gone a long way to increase prices at the pumps. The development forced most of the oil marketing firms to use what they call forward US dollar rates in pricing of petroleum products. That is, if they project that the Ghana cedi would depreciate going forward in the next 2 weeks, or they don't have the required dollars, then they will increase prices at the pumps further. However, some analysts have argued.
Now, the African Development Bank Group, in collaboration with the African Guaranteed Fund through the Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa, is seeking to close the estimated $42 billion financing gap that affects women entrepreneurs. Ghana is among the 27 African countries to benefit from the first phase of the $5 billion financing for women SMEs by 2026. There is more in this report.
Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa, AFAWA, is a pan-African initiative of the African Development Bank. AFAWA recognizes women as the backbone of the African economy and the challenges they face in accessing finance to support their businesses. It is for this reason the African Development Bank, together with African Guarantee Fund, in 2022 launched the AFAWA Finance Series to advocate increasing women's access to finance in Africa. Jules Ngankam is Group Chief Executive of African Guarantee Fund.
The gap that we are trying to bridge is 42 billion. And this thing will be done in phases. It's not something that can be done in 1 year. We have two sets of criteria. We have the risk criteria that will really depend on the banks. And then now we have the criteria as women SMEs. So who are the owners of that business? If it's a single owner, if that is a woman, it will qualify. If you have several owners, if 51% of the owners are women, it also kind of qualify. And then we have criteria at the level of the management. So who are the one managing that business? Because they might not be the owner, but they are the one managing the business. There we also have a certain percentage that as soon as it's reached.
AFAWA Finance Series is a flagship initiative designed to introduce African finance ministers, central bank governors, financial regulatory bodies, and financial institutions. Ghana is the first West African country to be selected by AFAWA to host the third edition of the AFAWA Finance Series. Speaking at the event, Chief Executive of Ghana Association of Banks, John Ewa, indicated that his outfit is ready to partner the project and ensure low interest rates on loans for women entrepreneurs.
We encourage to have products and services that are targeted to businesses that are owned or led by women. The qualifying criteria most definitely will be just like applying for your normal loans, except that in this particular instance, because of the guarantee, it is more or less the risk, and therefore the risk appetite of the financial institutions are supposed to be enhanced, and that should give them the the mandate to lend more to businesses that are owned by women.
AFAWA manager Esther Dasanu further explained the project.
The
The whole point of the initiative is to make that conversation happen. So enhance the financial institution's ability to go towards the women's market, to create customized products and services, and why not programs to accompany women in their growth. Women SMEs have the capacity to grow strong businesses, profitable businesses as such, and we see it. And when women entrepreneurs are also participating in the training, making sure that they have all the financial historical data that financial institutions need, not only are they able to access the loans, but they grow. They employ more people. And the employment of more people is also one of the reasons why we're engaged in this. And we see this across the board.
The AFAWA Finance Series in Ghana hopes to build on the existing AFAWA AGF partnership in working collaboratively to unlock financing for women SMEs, as well as execute similar interventions across other regions in 2023.
And that'll be all for business for now. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Darrell Kwa will come your way at 1 p.m. with the marketplace. In the meantime, sports is next.
Muftar Nablabla here with the sports on Joy News today. The Africa Games 2023 has officially been rescheduled to start on March 8, 2024. This is according to AU representative Dr. Decius Chimpande. At a press conference on Tuesday, he announced that the decision to postpone the Games to 2024 is due to the fact that there was an impasse between the African Union and that of ANOCA.
Following the negotiated agreement on the unity, on the tripartite approach in terms of organized success, the great great efforts, and we have been assured by the Ministry of Sports and will be fully ready to even following also in agreement with the dates that have been proposed by the Republic of Ghana. And the closing ceremony will be on the 23rd of March 2024. 23 will be held from 8th March 2024 to 23rd March 2024. And on behalf of Her Excellency, Commissioner for Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development, Her Excellency Ambassador Minata Samate Sesuma, the African Union Commission would like to call upon all stakeholders that include African Union member states, sports confederations, sports councils, associations, African Olympic committees, councils, and all potential partners and stakeholders to support the Republic of Ghana towards the hosting of very, very successful African Games in 2024.
From the Africa Games, let's talk about the new Indibiase Stadium. That is a facility that has been outstanding for the last 6-7 years. The Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, has revealed that the contract will be handed to a new contractor following the decision of the current contractor not to return to work for the last 2 years.
The new project for the construction of sports stadium started smoothly, but ran into challenges and has remained same for a couple of years. The project faced engineering challenges and was redesigned, packaged and contracted to Masters Shakdam Company Limited. The contractor started NS, but abandoned sites for the past 2 years. All attempts aimed at ensuring that the contractor return to site failed. Mr. Speaker, all these unfortunate events happened during the Ministry of Youth and Sports consistently honoring the obligation by paying all the interim certificates, and that's the IPC submitted by the contractor. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, we had no option than to terminate the contract, and the project will be repackaged and awarded to a new contractor. Yes, the contractor had challenge, And in contract process, it's not just as easy just terminating. You need to go through certain process. You have to give the contractor warning for not getting to site. You need to make sure that the consultant assess the work done. And when all this fails, that is where you terminate. So we are needed to go through the process of ensuring that we give the contractor a fair opportunity. And that is why it has taken time. But like I said here, finally we have terminated the contract and we are in the process of repackaging it and awarding it to a new contractor to come to site and complete the project for the good use of the people of New Edubiasi.
This Wednesday, there will be a Ghana Premier League action across the country. It is midweek, March the 20th of the Ghana Premier League. And Accra House of Oak will come against Great Olympics in the contest at the Accra Sports Stadium. This is our wrap-up sports here on Joy News today with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Up next is Showbiz.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News today. Now, gospel musician Celestine Donko has opened up about the struggles she had as a songwriter early on in her career. Speaking on Drive Time on Joy FM, she reveals that songwriting was not her fault when she first entered the industry. Celestine told Lexis Bill that although she could feature on other people's tracks and have them become hits, writing songs was a huge challenge for her.
I used to struggle to write songs. I used to struggle. It was a prayer topic, the first on my list. I used to pray about it. I remember I used to wait on the Lord for it. At the time that I released After Supernatural, and at the time I was featuring, doing featured works for other artists, and it comes out and it's a hit, and I'm not able to come up with that song that to give me that, that attention that my ministry deserves. So it was a need, at the time, but the Lord visited me in a special way.
Wow.
I had a dream.
You did?
Yes, I had a dream, and I saw myself on a very big field of flowers. And I was with someone. I believe it was God. I couldn't see him, but I could hear his voice. And he was telling me to look at the flowers, study them. And I started looking, and they were all making music.
Wow.
Yes, they were all making sounds. And that sound I heard, I haven't heard anything like that on earth. So I enjoyed it. I admired every moment in that dream. And then, to cut a long dream short, the angel said to me, go and sing. After that encounter, when I woke up, my spirit just overflows with songs.
Wow.
It just overflows. I wake up with new songs. I sleep with new songs.
Away from Celestine, musician Praise Bright has revealed networking as one of the major factors that made him relocate to the U.S. Speaking on the U.S. series of E-Vibes, the Small Thing hitmaker says although it hasn't been easy, he will not let anything hinder his determination to reach his goal.
The networking to get my footing into the mainstream industry here in the States. It's been a struggle, but I'm still working on it. The whole idea was to come out here and dive into hip hop, R&B, and hopefully find myself on big platforms like MTV's, probably grabbing a Grammy or something, So it's still in momentum.
How is that going? Have you?
It's looking good now because
okay.
Now there's more exposure. We have our brothers actually working hard to put us on, and I'm so proud of them. Shatta Wale, did a big one with Beyonce. Sokka's been doing amazing with all these big artists. I see him, rocking shoulders with Usher, Vic Manson, all these big shots, and Stone is, grabbing big deals. I see all these guys doing amazing things, and I'm really happy that they put their best foot forward for everybody to, be able to dive into it. Our brothers are doing it. Burn is doing it. Where's DeVito? So it's the new Africa.
Well, on that note, we end Showbiz here on Joy News Today, the small Showbiz news in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Becky. Aisha, good afternoon. Happy New Month and Happy Ghana Month.
Happy both. You're looking good in your...
Thank you. I'm representing Ghana today. Oh, look at me.
That's how I wrap up the bulletin this afternoon. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjournline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye.